Today is July 2nd, 2016. We're 2 days from the July 4th Independence Day celebration for our great nation of the United States of America. And the time right now, of course, is 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to go ahead and discuss for the next 15 minutes the idiocy that is showing up across the nation with people actually participating in rallies where they're stepping on and de-appreciating the value of our flag, which is the symbol of our independence, the very symbol that a lot of men and women are sacrificing or risking their lives overseas currently at this moment in protection and defense of, where there are families who will not have their husband return, their son return, their brother return, their daughter, their mother, their sister. There are people right now who are returning in more state that they went out, all in the protection of the United States. Yes, of course, we could go into great detail about how there is way more beyond that, but we're going to go ahead and stay on subject for the next 15 minutes. I don't know about you, but it really, really grinds my gears that people are, I can't use the word naive, all right, just retarded. Extremely retarded that they would actually form these rallies to deface our flag. Citizens like you and me, individuals who are born or have been registered as a citizen of the United States, individuals who in their day-to-day affairs would be paying taxes, going to work, supporting the community, for Christ's sake, having their kids go to school, and here they are forming rallies, mind you, to step on flags. For what? For what protests? For what protests could it be absolutely necessary to deface our flag? It's a good question, isn't it? I mean, in their sick and twisted mind, apparently there's a very good and valid reason. Not a fact, obviously, but an opinion nonetheless. Brings to mind a great quote that I hear often in my life, and that is that opinions are a lot like assholes. Everyone's got one, some are just bigger than others, and they all fucking stink. And this is a doozy. I mean an extreme, ripe doozy. Because like I said, we have people who are defending our nation here and abroad, who are currently in hot zones, military hot zones. We have had people who have died in attacks, all in the manner of working for our nation. Now, I don't know how it is now in school, because last time that I was in grade school, as you would call it, was way back when in early 2000. And I do remember, however, back in middle school that they would actually teach us in the history class and in early government about the Constitution and our rights, and more so probably than they do now. I think this is just a generation that's growing up without the concept of what our rights truly represent and what really happened. I mean, just think of it. First and foremost, our founding fathers, before it established with them, the individuals who found their way to the Americans way back when, during the time of the Pilgrims, were escaping the totalitarian rule that Britain currently had at that time. And sadly, it followed. So then our founding fathers and several other esteemed members, because mind you, there's more than 4 signatures on our Declaration of Independence, got together. And this was at a time where if they were discovered, this is high treason and they could be killed for this. They still willingly risked their lives and that of their families to get together and decide how they were going to go ahead and attest this totalitarian rule. Because of that, we had the Great American War. And then furthermore, we had the southern states who wanted to go ahead and say, hey, this is how we would like to run our states. And the northern states saying, hey, we don't really agree with it. This is how we want to run our states. And then both states saying, well, you should run it our way. And eventually we got to a point where we ended up having the Civil War. Mind you, separate conversation. We'll have another wonderful episode of this one, but the Civil War was about a lot more than just slavery. Slavery was one of the biggest priorities or controversies at that time, but there was a lot more at stake, because what a lot of people don't understand, when you think of the Civil War, people ask questions about the Civil War, most people, their mind goes to immediately slavery and the abolishment of slavery. But it's not just that, it's the segregation of states, where those states would have become their own independent country, and the United States would have ceased to exist. All right, we're talking about one of the bloodiest, I mean the bloodiest, goriest, life-taking wars that the United States has ever had in its history, with the North and the South fighting. Then we can continue the support that we try to give during the First War, World War, I should say, the interactions and the involvement we had in the Second War. Anything coming to mind yet? Oh, I can continue, okay? We had a couple of flip-flops, of course, with the Vietnam War and the Korean War as well. But it continues on and on. We stand as a power and a testament as a country. We do. We are a power. One of several powers in this world. And in the early stages, to go back, these men risked their lives and died, fought and died, to ensure that we would have humane rights that we were God-given and could not have taken away. That flag represents those rights. And the stars represent the states. You are stepping on your ancestors. You are stepping on your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, and every other family member you had that lived in the United States as an American citizen. That is what you're doing. Mind you, this is considered an act of terrorism. This is considered an act of treason. In fact, the penalty for this normally is supposed to be death. It used to be death by firing squad. Then, of course, we got soft and it became, death by the electric chair. Then we really got soft, and now it's about lethal injection, because we care about everybody's lives, no matter whether or not they took somebody else's. And now it's as if it's sad. Despicable, distasteful, and sad. Because the media, as much as it wants to go ahead and report on how how this is happening, and this is, what do you think about this, and who the fuck cares? Seriously, we're talking about people who are stepping on our nation, that live here. Like, if you really have a disagreement with our country, if you really have a disagreement with how many taxes you're paying, oh God, and how you can't find yourself getting $15 an hour because you're working at McDonald's, oh God, and that your education is not as great as the education of your next door neighbor, oh God, then get the fuck out of my country. Seriously. Because if you truly have any sense of honor and justice, you wouldn't be stepping on our flag. You would not be stepping on our flag. And this controversy goes past just stepping on the flag of the United States. I mean, we're talking about historical moments in our life being removed because a few bleeding hearts can't handle what they actually represent. I mean, look at the Confederate flag that we have going on. Its symbol did not originally stand for white supremacy. No, that's like the swastika. That was a symbol of the Native Americans. It's a symbol of nature. In fact, actually, the swastika shows up in a lot of different cultures. So when Hitler took that for himself, it didn't originally represent the oppression of the Jews. No, no. See, it takes a great individual of evil to corrupt, delude, and pollute a symbol. And my friends, those of you assholes who are out there right now rallying together so you can trudge over our flag, well, you're doing that. That's what you're doing. I mean, and this goes beyond the stepping on the flag, so I apologize if that's the simple target that's going on. But the apology itself is really, really lucid too. Like, I'm not sorry I'm talking about this. In fact, I actually feel like the individuals that are acting upon these just atrocious actions are sorry themselves. You know, too bad they live in our country and not somewhere else where they can appreciate what they had here in the United States. See, because that's the key thing. You really don't appreciate what you have until it's taken away from you. You really don't. You know, and God forbid that there's ever really a crackdown on the people who are stepping on these flags. You know, because you could put them under the Patriot Act. You could. The Patriot Act would work. You could take all their rights away. They no longer have the rights of a citizen. They no longer have the rights to a fair trial. They no longer have the rights to a jury of their peer. They no longer have the rights to freedom of speech, the ability to go ahead and enact the Fifth Amendment. None of them. And then see how they feel about it. It's disgusting and despicable, like I said. But it goes beyond that. The wonderful Homeowners Association, as I've seen before many times, and I've had a couple of friends who live in an area which is owned by Homeowners Association, and they're just an occupant there, you know. And you would think, oh yeah, this is my house because I'm paying mortgage for it, and I signed for it, and it's my property. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm sorry, sir, but you can't be hanging a flag off of your balcony. It goes against the regulations of our, you know, of our corporation. It's like, really? And it always follows because of a complaint. A complaint. Like, that flag is too annoying. Can you please have it? For the love of God, that's the American flag. That thing used to be flown everywhere. I mean, so much attention is paid to it. It is taken care of. You ever gone to a military funeral? You ever gone out at dawn, at the crack of dawn, to see some soldiers go ahead and put up the flag? Take it down that evening? They would never let that thing touch the ground. They handle that better than the average person handles their laundry. Because it's a representation of the people who died so that we as American citizens could have our rights. You know, we have people crying out about the Second Amendment and the movements that President Obama is putting forth about trying to put his foot down on gun control. Well, that Second Amendment is something that some of our brothers and sisters died for. The First Amendment, freedom of speech. And I'm going to end it with this, because I've got about a minute and 20 seconds left. I'm going to end it with this. Fuck you, the individuals who want to enact freedom of speech about this. Because that's not the freedom of speech, and you're getting it completely wrong. The freedom of speech is not one for you to go ahead and commit atrocious acts that defile our nation. The freedom of speech is to allow you to go ahead and express your opinion verbally, and peacefully, like Martin Luther King did during his marches. That's the freedom of speech. To go ahead and say what is on your mind, or to go ahead and respond in kind with what's on your mind to what somebody else has to say, like I'm doing right now. But to go out there and openly go ahead and trudge foot over the American flag, you can go fuck yourself. You're disgusting and distasteful. Please, I urge you, I urge you guys to take a look at this. If you know people that are doing this, talk to them about it. Try to get them to stop. Educate them. And for those of you that need the education, take a look at our constitutional rights in great detail. And please tell me why you would step all over those. Thank you.